Hello, welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 86.
Starring
Jimbo.
And Fisher.
And how you doing, Fisher? All okay?
Yeah, very good, thank you. How are you, Jimbo?
Yes, not bad at all. The title of this episode is My Nan's Got Her Vaccination. And I'll move on to talk about that very shortly. But that's a play on the song I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Was you not sure of that before until I've just clarified?
I wasn't quite sure, no.
Well, are you ready to hear it?
I'm ready to hear your Nan singing this. Come on, then.
It's not my Nan singing it, unfortunately. I could have done an impression, maybe. She might not have liked that. I don't actually call her Nan. I ain't got a Nan. I call them Grandma and Gran and things like that, but Nan works quite well. Suppose I could have gone with Gran.
Yeah.
Nan, Gran. But everyone calls their grandmas Nan around Sheffield, don't they, and stuff, so I went with that old thing.
I'm the same. I've always called them Grandma.
Oh, there you go. They've got two grandmas.
Nan, yeah. Well, I used to, yeah.
It's weird that it's weird that there's so many variations of Grandma. You know, Nan, Granny.
Yeah, but there's very few variations of Grandpa. Isn't there?
Yeah. Or they I suppose they say Granddad and then Grandpa, but Grandpapa. But people don't really do that, do they? Just sort of stick with Granddad. Like it's like in half. You know, grandmas they can have alternative names, but Granddads just get Grandad. It's weird. We're not greedy, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, call him grandfather if you're a bit posher and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's hear not your nana or grandma or grandparents or grandmother or anything like that or granny or nanny. Let's hear the song that's not been sung by them.
My Nan's Got Her Vaccination. Okay. That's the song title. Here we go. My Nan's got her vaccination. My Nan's got her vaccination. She stayed inside, stayed inside, stayed inside, stayed inside. She won't catch no. She won't catch no. She's not been out to the bingo. She's not been out to the Tesco. She's not been out to see no shows. She follows the instructions on the radio. She's been to get her vaccination. She's been to get her vaccination. So there you go. Yeah, she's been to get a vaccination, and not just one of them, but all of my. I've still got 4 grandparents. Still I'm very lucky at the age of 33 to have all 4 grandparents.
Your grandparents are all at the age of 33. That is unbelievable. I think someone's winding you up there, Jimbo.
I told you I was lucky.
Yeah,
it's that special cream you can get.
Yeah, were they all born on February the 29th on leap year? Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on then and talk about our? We always start with a bit of our breaking news, don't we?
Yeah.
Have you got any breaking news, Fisher, in particular?
Not particular. I suppose it's. I know a couple of people who've had a vaccination, and this is not funny, by the way. Before anyone even thinks about laughing, so keeping in the theme with the rest of the podcast. Both of my next door neighbours have been for their first vaccination over the last couple of weeks. My next door neighbour on one side of me, she's been very careful, very cautious, obviously. She's had a vaccination, so she started kind of maybe going out and about a little bit more. And it basically meant that on Friday she fell over and broke her wrist. So,
oh, no.
You know, not good at all.
Was she under your care? Was you supposed to be looking after her then?
I wasn't looking after her, but I took her, just because I'm such a genuinely nice person, I took her to the hospital and then picked her up from hospital as well, just to make sure she was safe and what have you. But unfortunately, her wrist was broken. It'll take her a few weeks to recover. But yeah, obviously very, very sad, and so just only a few days after she's had the vaccination. It was also on a patch of ice that she told me. It's been quite wet, quite damp, quite icy, quite snowy around here in the last couple of weeks.
Let me guess. She warned you about a patch of ice, and she
warned me about a patch of ice
on the same patch of ice.
And she fell over pretty much on the same patch of ice, yes. So, very unfortunate, but as I say, we wish her a very swift recovery, albeit I know full well she's definitely not watching this.
Good. She got the internet?
She has got the internet, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she could be watching it, she just chooses not to.
Yeah, she's not on Facebook, so she can't watch a live stream, unfortunately. I think she's not on Facebook. I mean, she's not had me as a friend if she is. But who knows? What have you been up to, Jimbo?
Well, obviously, as we said, all my 4 grandparents have got their vaccinations, and my mum, the famous crazy golf playing police officer, who got into a newspaper not too long ago, she's got COVID-19 now, so she's actually she's got it. So she's in the process of self-isolating, as you should. Obviously, thankfully, she's got a great crazy golf set in the house that she can continue to play with. She can work and practice on it. But obviously, unfortunately, that's due to her role as a police officer. It means that she comes into contact with quite a few people. And sometimes that just can't be helped, unfortunately. So I wish her all the best. And I also did I've got a couple of bits of breaking news. My other bit was that I went to the Sheffield distillery virtual cocktail making evening last night. So I travelled all the way there, of course. Yeah. Just obviously
it's taking you ages to get from downstairs to upstairs. All
exactly.
The way around,
yeah. Just dressed from the top upwards, you know. Yeah. But that was very good. So I'd like to give a shout out to the Sheffield distillery and say, well done. What a great evening they put on, and I'd definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to do anything like that. I say it felt quite normal actually, because I've not really done. I've done the odd quiz here and there, but I've not done anything where it's kind of a bit more people I might not normally have known. I knew a few people who was there, but I didn't know many. But it was all right. It was pretty good. It was a bit to do it over Zoom as well. It was a bit unusual, but good at the same time.
What do you mean you're not that familiar with doing things that you don't know? You run a business where you do training and stuff.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about from a social perspective, I suppose.
Right. Okay.
But no, it was good. It worked really well, definitely recommend it.
Were the presenters dressed as the greatest showman like you are when you do your presenting things, or were they just dressed normally?
They weren't dressed as the greatest showman, but they were the greatest PowerPoint showman. They were dressed in their branded Sheffield distillery uniforms though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of them are a mascot bottle of gin or anything like that. Yeah. Which I do suggest maybe is a good marketing ploy for them if they went down that route. I might have some contacts for people who could potentially play that role of a gin bottle mascot. Few contacts who might be out of work at the minute.
Or what they should really done is worn maybe a martini dress.
Yeah.
Would have been perfect for it, you would have thought.
That would have also worked. But that brings us quite nicely onto our drinks, doesn't it?
Well, neither of us got a martini or a cocktail, I would have thought, but I suppose it can bring us on to drinks.
Yeah.
Shall I go first?
You go for it, yeah. I've
got some Brooklyn Lager. Probably, I've not actually read the side of it, but I'm assuming made in America would make sense. Brooklyn brewed nowadays by Carlsberg, but there we go. And the Brooklyn Brewery is, I'm guessing it's in the New York borough of Brooklyn, but it doesn't actually say anything on the can. Goes out of date in September of this year, by the looks of it, which is good to know. So it's still in date, even though they get them a little bit on the cheap. Got 12 cans of these for £9, I think, from the company shop yesterday. Have you ever been there to the company shop?
I have been there, in the past.
Yeah, you can get some good stuff there.
Yeah.
So if people don't know what the company shop is, it's for generally people who kind of hold key worker type jobs. I
think we mentioned this before. I think have you got some sort of sponsorship deal with a company shop that I'm not aware of?
No, I was just going to say that I managed to get a membership because I'm just a pillar of the local community, really. So I managed to get one.
Podcasting key workers.
We keep the key workers entertained with the podcast. I suppose
exactly.
Is the key role that we do. I've not got a can for this, so I'm I'm not going to glass for it. I've got a can for it. It's in the can, obviously. I'm not going to pour it from one can into another. And it's meant to be quite hoppy and light for a lager. Mm-hmm. So I think it almost tastes a bit like a real ale.
Yeah.
Lager.
Nothing to do with Brooklyn, Beckham.
No, I mean, obviously you can have the Cruise Lager, you can have the Alpha 7 Lager.
I couldn't remember the other names. There's the other...
Romeo Lager.
Romeo, that was the one I couldn't remember, anyway. But it's early though, isn't it? It's just gone 11:10, and here we are having a drink on the podcast.
Yeah,
but First world
What have you got
problems.
then, Jimbo?
First world problems. That.
Oh.
Do you see how I linked that into my drink? So
Well done, Jimbo.
I went down to La Di Da. We've mentioned them a few times on this podcast as well, which is a new craft ale, spirits, wines, even cigar shop, which is down in Chapeltown, of course, near us. It's a Belgian IPA, 6.2% from Stewart Brewing. I don't know is he called Stuart and his second name's Brewing. That'd be quite handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What is it nominative determinism, isn't it? Like if your name's Mr. Bunn, then you're likely to be a baker. If your name's Stuart Brewing, then you might end up making beer.
It's pretty good in though because I love can designs. This is why I'm partly into really picking up new beers because I love the can designs. And this one, first world problems, staying in with the family, and then if you spin it around, you get a bit of a comic on your can. They don't know their Wi-Fi password. There you go. And I must remember to take a picture of it this time so that I can post this beer on my Ale and Audio Instagram account where I like to keep a track of... Oh, it looks quite dark for me, this one, actually. But I like to keep
dark beers. Do you want to swap?
Well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Jump in the car and bring it round and put it on your doorstep and swap them round and come back and finish the podcast.
Yeah, just leave it recording. Leave a song on or something. But there you go. There it is, and I shall get a picture of it while I've still got a head on the beer. So just give me 1 second. You keep people talking, Fisher.
Okay. So actually, another bit of breaking news for me is that I left some cheese on the side yesterday in a little the bag that the cheese comes in. So I just made me tea. Well, all right, Vicky made it. Left the cheese on the side. Heard a bit of a rustling in the kitchen. Came back in, and I'm assuming my cat finished the rest of the cheese because the cheese wasn't there, and the bag that the cheese came in was actually stuck on my cat's head.
Well,
she got a head stuck in it.
I have another theory. I think it might have been a mouse. The mouse ate the cheese, and then was stuck in the bag, and then the cat ate the mouse.
Ate the mouse.
Yeah.
Good point.
And then next time you go in, if there's a dog in there or something, and you can't find the cat.
Yeah, a whole food chain in there.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So, should we move forwards?
Let's move forwards, yes. Come on.
So it's my show and tell, isn't it, Fisher?
It is, yeah. I mean, I suppose another bit of breaking news, by the way, is Jimbo, is that Joe Root was 174 not out for England. So,
okay.
Come on, Joe, keep batting.
So, good. Yeah, that's for the cricket people, I suppose. Like you
from Sheffield, from another person from Sheffield.
Yeah, there we go. Now, my show and tell this week is going to be a bit different. Normally, we give each other two versions of the truth and one will not be the truth, so a truth and a lie.
Yeah.
It's going to work slightly different this time.
Just let's be clear to anyone watching. A truth and a lie is not the same as two versions of the truth. Is that right, Jimbo? Can we just clarify that?
Well, to politicians, that may well be the case. I'm still there, by the way. I just had a very loud bleeping in my headphones.
Yeah,
sorry to any listeners
there was a very loud bang and we sort of blurred up, so I don't know if viewers may have lost a bit of transmission there, or listeners.
No, I think we're back. We're all right. So anyway, here's my show and tell, and it's this Instagram post. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's from Ale and Audio, and it's I've got to try and read it backwards there, but it's I can't quite read what it says, unfortunately.
I'll read it to you.
It's
Can you think of energy-themed songs?
Yes.
Is the one.
So, for example, an example would be Let Love Be Your Energy by Robbie Williams.
Yes. Correct, yeah. That would have been a great suggestion, and we did play that one as well. So, in my podcast, I at the start of the Ale and Audio one, the daily one, where I kind of give a shout-out to local breweries, beer shops and things like that, taste a couple of beers, talk about the beer I've had. Not during. I normally have the beer the night before and then talk about it the day after. And just it's a bit of a beer, a bit of music, just a bit of chatter really. Very short episodes. But anyway, so I put this call out to get people at the start of the week to choose some energy themed songs. And I had somebody like the post, not actually comment and leave a song suggestion, but somebody with a blue tick like the post. And we all know that a blue tick means somebody quite well known and someone who's verified.
A verified account.
And it's a famous person. So I thought we could do a bit of a 20 questions and see for you how quickly it takes for you to get to the correct answer. And I thought, shall we actually stick with the 20 questions thing? I can try and, we'll see if you can get it in 20, as are the rules of 20 questions. But if you can't,
if not, we
never
might
mind.
Play 30 questions, 40 questions, 50 questions.
Exactly. So, do you want to go for it then?
Yeah. So, is this person? I'm assuming you've got to answer yes or no.
Yeah, and people might, if people are listening, watching live. Hello, if you're watching live. Hello, if you're listening. You're not listening live, whatever. See if you can beat Fisher to it. Basically, if you can, you can leave a comment if you want. Fisher, don't be looking at the comments if for the next however long, if there are any. Go then, Fisher.
Okay. So, is it male?
Yes.
Or a male?
Yes.
Are they in the entertainment industry?
They have worked in the entertainment industry.
But
not directly from the entertainment industry.
Are they a presenter of some form?
They have presented.
It's not yourself, is it? I mean, you're not trying to claim class yourself just because you did the Barnsley Excellence Awards a couple of times and that sort of stuff.
Not got the blue tick just yet. Although somebody I trained at Penistone FM, I'll give a shout out to him. Oh my god! You've
got to remember his name first. Yeah.
How have I forgot his name? Oh, he's completely. Rich Buckley. I don't know how I forgot that. Sorry, momentary lapse there. Rich Buckley. He trained with me at Penistone FM. He was really into his sports and things like that. So he did a bit of sports show on Penistone FM. I trained him up, taught him everything I know. Obviously not about cricket, and obviously not about football. But I taught him as much as I know about podcasting and radio and stuff like that, and just to help him learn how to push the buttons and all that kind of thing. He did really well. A great trainee, and he's now a FIFA World Esports commentator, and he's got the blue tick.
Really?
He's got the blue tick. He's got. I'm sure on last look at about 80,000 followers, something like that.
Really? So was it Rich Buckley? Is that who liked your post?
No, that's not it. No.
Oh.
And that's not one. I'll not put that down as one of your questions.
So I'm on 3 at the moment. So we know that it's a male who sort of does a bit in the entertainment industry and has presented things. Are they a sports star?
No.
Okay. Are they associated with this area in general, with sort of Sheffield, South Yorkshire, maybe even Yorkshire?
No, as far as I'm aware, no.
Okay.
That was your 5th question.
Yeah. Even though I kind of asked 3 questions in one there, but I'll kind of get away with that. I would. What else could we ask? Are they at the peak of their celebritydom at the moment?
No.
Would you say they were more famous, say, 20 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. Have they worked in radio?
Possibly. Like I said, I'll just give you a pointer that sort of the entertainment industry itself and the fact that they're well known now is not necessarily the reason. It's not where they came from.
Right.
Just I'll put you down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've asked 7 questions.
So not involved in sport, but they're well known. Are they someone you would associate with being quite intelligent?
Yes.
Okay. Male intelligent. I can't. Aside from us two, I can't think of many intelligent men.
You would have them down as being intelligent to do the job that they had, but maybe they didn't always behave very intelligently or very astutely. Do you like that?
It's a long word, isn't it? Do either of us know what that means? Were they someone who was maybe an academic?
No.
Who maybe worked for a university or something like that?
No, not what they're known for. I wouldn't know that far back, but yeah.
Okay. Who would be known as being intelligent? Job. Are they involved in science at all?
No.
Involved in maybe sort of technology and design and that sort of stuff?
Nope.
Computers?
Nope. Come on, slow it down, Fisher.
Okay.
Put you down for 10, but I think you asked more than that. But I'll put you down for 10.
Are they involved in the music industry?
Nope.
Are they from the UK?
Yes.
Are they from England?
Yes. It's always, you know, when you ever do 20 questions with celebrities, it's always that kind of one of the, you know, like we always go like entertainment, sports. It's one of those areas that kind of gets forgotten about sometimes because it's like a weird segment into celebrity, if you know what I mean.
Are they a criminal?
I don't know if they ever faced any criminal charges, but they could have.
Are they infamous? I suppose
they are. Yeah, they certainly had a period of time where they were infamous, and I don't know if they got famous.
Yeah.
because they started infamous.
Right. So someone who started off as a baddie. Are they nowadays perhaps known as a goodie?
Yeah, the kind of. I think it's. I don't know. It's a funny one. I think so. I mean, obviously they've had work after any sort of bad press that they had earlier on in their career. So yeah.
Were they involved in reality TV?
They have been involved in reality TV after their infamousness.
Oh right, okay, that's right. It's not. I thought it might have been Nasty Nick from Big Brother. He was quite infamous, but obviously, he was infamous at the start of his. Yeah.
So the TV work they have done has been reality TV type show.
Okay. Something like became got work from being.
Go back to trying to think about this sector that they might be coming from, or the area of what they did originally, like, you know, like we said, entertainment, sport, music, you know, try and explore that area a bit more if you can. That might help.
Can't really think of anything that. What if you're not entertainment or sport? How would anyone ever know who you are?
This is what I'm saying. This is why it's a funny area, you see. It's one that always catches people out when it comes to 20 questions. You're on about 15 at the minute, by the way.
Are they from the south of England?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, and the south, I'm not including the Midlands in there.
Yeah, south, yeah. I would say so. I would say so, but I wouldn't know for sure. Maybe I should load their Wikipedia up just to help you out a bit more. 1 second. But I would imagine so with the accent and so on, that they are certainly from down south. Whether they're from there originally, I'm not sure.
But you'd associate them with them being down south. Would you particularly associate them with being a Cockney, for example?
Not Cockney, no.
Okay. In terms of the reality TV,
I'll tell you where he's from. Actually, it's from Grassmore in Derbyshire.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah,
I've played golf there.
But you wouldn't have them down as that, yeah.
Right. But you're more likely than not going to consider them as being someone from down south.
Mm-hmm.
Born in Grassmore in Derbyshire. Are they from politics?
Not politics. You tend to kind of be getting a bit closer when you say that, though.
What's connected to politics that's sort of highbrow and not entertainment? In terms of the reality TV program that they appeared
you're onto it there. You need to keep going down that avenue.
I'm trying to think what's close to politics. That sort of. Are they a journalist?
Not a journalist.
Are they particularly popular and active on social media? And do they have quite a lot of followers? Sort of disproportionately large amount of followers from what you'd expect.
Oh, probably only because they're famous, but I wouldn't say that they're particularly well known for the social media or anything like that.
Yeah, so not like, for example, Joey Barton or a Katie Hopkins or that kind of person who's predominantly, you would now say, more well known for social media. I know very little. I don't even know what industry this person particularly works in. In terms of the reality TV program that they appeared on, was it on ITV? Have they appeared on a few reality TV programs?
Yes, they've. Okay, I'll give you some clues. They appeared on I'm a Celebrity. Okay.
Don't want to wait. Have they appeared on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
They've appeared on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Okay. Was that in the most recent in the last 10 years?
What are we on now? No, not the last 10 years. Not the last 10 years.
Okay. So it's in the first 10 years of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Do you want to know any other programs he's been on?
Yeah, go on then.
So he's been on he's appeared on Countdown, and not as a contestant. So that might give you some clues.
Dictionary Corner
Potentially, yeah.
Or is he presented Countdown?
No. Celebrity Stars in Their Eyes. As Richard Gere.
Richard Gere's not a singer.
Singing Razzle Dazzle from the Chicago.
Right. Okay.
He's also appeared on Through the Keyhole with Keith Lemon. But his main bit of reality TV work was he was a judge and a trainer on a Australian reality TV show that was featured quite a lot here in the UK, I think, as far as I'm aware, because I know it appeared on things like TV Burp and stuff like that.
Australian TV show.
I suggest you go back to talking about the area of work that they're from. Like, you were getting a bit closer. When you start talking about politics, you was getting a tad closer to it.
Is it some kind of political commentator who commentates on politics?
No. I think you're definitely over your 20 questions now, by the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we're almost over the hour and a half limit we have in terms of how long we podcast for. I know we're struggling a bit for material, but this is taking it a bit far. But are they Australian? Well,
no, they're not Australian.
South England.
Yeah.
An Australian TV program.
I wouldn't get hung up on that. I'd start going back to the thing about the area of thing they might have done. You've missed a whole area of celebrity, a big chunk of celebrity out of the. If you could look at the pie chart of where celebrities come from, you have missed a big chunk of it.
Mr. Entertainments, are they involved in royalty?
Exactly. You're getting now. If you stick on that, you're going to get there. Right.
So it's someone from. So are they someone who would particularly say, "Oh, I think I might know it is"? Did they potentially steal things from Princess Diana?
Potentially, they did.
But this has never been proved in a court of law because the Queen was aware of it. So is it Paul Burrell?
It is Paul Burrell. Well done. Congratulations. Oh, you made a meal out of that, Fisher.
Yeah.
You see what I mean, though? You just had to go down that route, didn't you? As soon as you got royalty, it wouldn't have took you that long. I think when you do 20 questions, it is one of, like, politics, royalty are there are a couple of areas that people tend to forget about, don't they? Because they've not generally come from being famous for doing anything entertainment-wise. But yeah, he went on to do things like Australian Princess, didn't he? Where he was sort of training princesses and things like that. He was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2004. Appeared on Countdown. Celebrity Stars in Their Eyes. So there you go. Paul, how random is that? Paul Burrell, like my post.
Yeah,
the official Paul Burrell.
He seems to have become very famous from potentially stealing some of Princess Diana's stuff, doesn't he? And being a sort of confidant. I mean, obviously she's not around to sort of say that no, he's talking a load of rubbish, or yes, I agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
But there we go.
But anyway, so that was a bit of a random thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, congratulations on getting the thumbs up from Paul Burrell.
I was hoping you wasn't, and I couldn't mention it in my Ale and Audio podcast because I was worried about you listening to one of the episodes and then me ruining my show and tell for this weekend. But I was obviously safe there.
You don't have to worry about that, Jimbo. Never listen.
Okay, so we're on to your feature now, aren't we, for show? Oh, no, we haven't. We're skipping ahead. So we've been doing our top 3 Donald Trump moments on Twitter, haven't we, over the last few days? Because obviously he is no more. Well, he's not dead, but I mean, when it comes to his job now and on Twitter and stuff, he's gone, hasn't he, really? It's it's a lot harder to hear from him, I suppose. Which is a good thing, no one's saying it's... But it's a sad thing for comedy, because, of course, he brought us so much joy when it came to comedy value, didn't he?
Well, it gave you a lot of material. I mean, a lot of it was a bit samey and a bit sort of predictable, unfortunately, and not much of it was very nice. But nonetheless, he was very much I suppose, a one of a kind.
Yeah.
And he's now just back to. I was going to say he's now back to being a normal citizen, but I think he's still referred to President Trump, isn't he?
There was news. I'm sure there was a news article the other day where they were talking about editing him out of Home Alone. The technology they've got these days, they could just like slap somebody else's face on the top of him, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the deep fake things, can't you? Because I'm right in thinking that Channel 4 for their Christmas message this year had a deep fake version of
the Queen.
The Queen, yeah, and it was kind of dubbed, and someone else had written something and made it look like the Queen. But the whole point was it was trying to demonstrate what you can do with this artificial intelligence and sort of fakery on the internet.
Yeah.
To which a lot of people said, "Oh, it's terrible." And I think you mentioned last week on the podcast about the picture on Twitter of the four lads going for a night out.
Yeah.
With the bit like us, two massive muscles and tattoos and all that sort of stuff.
Proper lads, yeah.
Yeah, that video had been faked from singing. I can't remember what song it was. They were singing.
It was sea shanty, weren't it? And the person who did that, who was kind of, I think he was a postman, but he was just someone who kind of did those old classic sea shanty type songs, and somebody found it online, and then he's got famous because of it now. I think he's even got a record deal. Yeah, but obviously, when a deep fake does that, then hilarious, not a problem, fine. Yeah, what great use of this technology. So yes, I know this is the problem with us filming ourselves every week doing this. We could end up on Pornhub or anything.
Could do. I mean, I'm not sure what you're planning on for your feature in the show, obviously. There we go. So anyway, we'll talk about Donald Trump and some of his finest moments, to which I put at number 3, when he gave parcels to people whose homes had been ravaged by a hurricane in Puerto Rico. Instead of just passing like some paper towels and some kitchen roll into the crowd, he stood there and seemed to like toss them like it was a basketball. Some kind of competition to see who got the stupidest throw into the crowd. So it didn't really seem very empathetic towards people who were going through a tough time at the moment.
Lacking his compassion and seeing it as an opportunity to act like an idiot, basically. Yeah. Yeah. So my number 3, I put that my... Oh, where's it gone? It's vanished. Hold on 1 second. So my number 3, I put down, it's when Donald Trump looked directly into a solar eclipse with no eyewear protection. Which isn't really a very healthy thing to do, and everybody knows that you shouldn't really look at any solar eclipse without any eye protection or no. I mean, you shouldn't really do it at all, should you? Really? But there you go.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's an eclipse or not. Please don't look directly into something because you can blind yourself. Perhaps he thought that. Perhaps he got confused because his wife Melania always wears a pair of sunglasses, probably just to make sure you can't see the tears in her eyes. From the life that she's had to live over the last 4 years. But even if you are wearing sunglasses, I think looking directly into the sun is still quite dangerous anyway. So we wouldn't recommend it in any event.
She could have, Bonnie Tyler could have done a rewrite of a song and done Total Eclipse of the Fart. Like, obviously, Donald Trump fart sort of thing. That's probably quite very loose, but anyway.
Yeah. Let's hope your Trumps aren't very loose because that could mean something else is about to come out. Anyway. Next up for me, number 2, was his interview last year where he claimed protesters were throwing tins of soup at police officers, and if stopped, the protesters would just claim, "They've got soup for my family. This is soup for my family. A can of soup, it's a perfect size. You can put plenty of force behind a can of soup." And they were throwing at the police, which is loud nonsense. He also claimed that they were throwing frozen bottles of water. When they say they're throwing water at the police, no one's bothered, but they don't tell you it's frozen. It could hurt when it's frozen. And that was what protesters were allegedly doing at the police force. So he also claimed that people were getting bags of soup that they were importing into the country, and then apportioning out into various tins and chucking them at the police.
So he clearly doesn't condone protesters then.
No, sorry. It depends what they're protesting about. Obviously,
of course.
I mean, all the people who stormed the Capitol building, I mean, they didn't have cans of soup. They just got guns and stuff instead.
Oh, so, right, fair enough. Yeah, well, they're legal, aren't they? So, anyway, number 2 for me, Donald Trump talking about a steelworker's father being proud and looking down on him, despite the fact the steelworker's father was not actually dead. And during that, he had to. I think somebody said he's not actually dead. There you go.
I don't think I'd ever seen that before until you tweeted it. So thank you very much for enlightening me on that front. I think Trump was almost a little bit embarrassed. I think he sort of tried to say at the end of it, well, he'll be even more proud if he's still alive and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a very heartfelt speech from someone who I think his father used to be a miner, I think, and he said the amount of imports coming into America had vastly reduced his father's income and put him out of work when he got 6 children to bring up. And we should be putting America first and making it great. And then he stepped off the stage and Trump said, your father, he'll be looking down on you. And then the bloke said, he's not dead. So, yeah.
Go on then. Donald. So what was your number one then, Fisher?
My number one was an amazing interview last year where Trump claimed that he got a very good memory because he'd taken a memory test. He, however, said that he couldn't remember the name of the memory test he'd taken, which surely is part of the memory test itself. And he then quoted some words that he'd heard, which were person, woman, man, camera, TV.
There are obviously things he could see, probably, as well.
They're all things that he could see in front of him, yeah, at that particular point in time. I mean, he's that intelligent that he can't even think on his feet enough to think of 5 words that aren't directly in front of him. And he said he did this memory test where he said, think of 5 words, say, let's say, person, woman, man, camera, TV. Is that right? Yeah, I've even got it right. It's quite difficult to think about for him. I can't quite remember the order you get it in. And then, he came back and he said, after 10 questions, they'll say to you, what were those 5 words that you mentioned? And it was quite clear that it's very rare. It's very rare for people to even get all the 5 words that they'd said initially. But Trump, you know what he managed to do? He managed to say the first 5 words and get them in order. And the person conducting the test said, that never happens. It just so happens that the only time it's ever happened is when one of the world's biggest ever morons tries to do it, and he can get them all right. Someone who's noted and a proven liar throughout the course of his presidency. Oh. He managed to get them all right for the first time, apparently. So that was my favourite Trump moment.
Well, my number one moment, and it can't be left out, and it's funny, but it's also very, very scary that actually somebody at the top of the world in terms of power can say something like this. But it's the old, and everyone will know, it's the old US President Trump actually asking scientists to consider injecting disinfectant or looking into injecting disinfectant to fight COVID. And the best bit of it is the kind of just one of the scientific advisors sort of sat on the other side of the room as Trump looks over, and she's just sort of she just doesn't know where to look, does she? It's hilarious, but
I think rigor
also
mortis
very
is
worrying.
Almost setting because she seems to go completely rigid and think, oh, maybe if I stay still, no one will see me and no one will notice me.
I just remember the shock at the time of people thinking, how is this being said? But people did it, didn't they? According to reports, and I don't know how true they are, but apparently people did do it. I mean, there's a lot of millions and millions of people in the world and in the US, and it's like, well, of course, somebody might actually try it, and I think that's a danger, isn't it, when somebody's such a... I mean, I saw a news article the other day. I saw it on Twitter, actually. So, this lad has reported his dad to the police for going to a Trump protest, right, where I think they were planning stuff. And unfortunately, this lad's, had to go against his own dad because he's completely brainwashed by Trump and the sort of the sort of followers that he's got behind him, and it's quite an unfortunate situation because it's really ruining a lot of people's lives. Like in America, it's hard for us to understand here, I suppose, because we tend to have these elections and we fall out with people for a little bit, but then we just forget about it. But over in America, people have actually and I suppose it happened here with Brexit, but people have actually fallen out with members of their family and don't talk because of it.
Yeah, I mean, who was this person's dad? Was it Donald Trump Jr.? So, yeah, I mean, I know obviously say some people did try. I mean, I know sometimes I mentioned the Ig Nobel Awards, but there's also another set of awards called the Darwin Awards, if you've heard about that, which is people who've killed themselves in stupid circumstances and effectively taken themselves out of the gene pool. Or indeed, I think if you've castrated yourself, so made yourself infertile to make sure your genes can't be passed on. I think some of those people, unfortunately, will probably fall into that category. Other people in there include, I'll probably do a quiz about this at some point, but include someone who I think attached themselves to loads of helium balloons and floated off up into the air and got seriously injured.
I think a lot of people in the 80s have done that because they didn't want their genes passing on because they were god awful. Terrible fashion sense.
Stonewashed Wranglers.
Yeah.
I think one other person as well, just on the Darwin Awards, who, but they went to play golf one day, and if you ever play golf, there's sometimes there's a little machine that you can wash your golf balls in. I think.
How old is it? What are you going to say next?
Now, I think you know what's going to be coming here. That they decided to wash their balls in there, and funnily enough, damaged their own testicles and therefore removed themselves from gym pool. But nonetheless, talking about obviously, I don't know. To be fair, I mean it's difficult to work out which of the two that we've mentioned is our favourite. I mean, possibly I'd add a third one into there, which was when Donald Trump did an interview with someone called Jonathan Swan last year, where he was talking about the response to COVID, and Donald Trump held up a graph where he proudly proclaimed that we're doing better than, as he put it, the world.
Just by holding up a graph.
Yeah, he just said, "Look, I've got some graphs." And the interviewer basically said that the numbers that you're producing, that's sort of the amount of deaths for people who tested positive. I mean, what I want to know is the amount of deaths per percentage of population. You know, you've got some countries like Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Germany, much lower deaths toll per percentage of population. And Trump was quite clear in the way these statistics were presented. He just told him, "No, you can't do that." So yeah, not one for being scrutinised, obviously.
So you've got something on inaugurations for us, haven't you?
I do, yes, I do. So I've got some questions about inaugurations of presidents. Joe Biden was inaugurated this week on January the 20th, which is nowadays a common date. Apparently, presidents now get inaugurated on 20th of January. As of, I can't remember exactly when I was brought in. That's not always been the case, but
did you see somebody had edited it on social media? Somebody had edited Barry from EastEnders.
I did see that
singing, made it look like he was singing at the inauguration.
Yes. Do you know where he was singing at that point,
where?
by the way?
Was it Royal Albert Hall or something?
No, it was at the Bowls, the National Bowls Championships.
Okay.
Obviously, it's got all these. Generally speaking, the audience for a game of bowls is generally quite an older.
Did he wash his bowls in a bowl washing machine?
If they're as big as some bowls, then it must be a very impressive man. For some reason, the people who go and watch the bowls is generally quite an older demographic, and for some reason, one year at the bowls, they were entertained to Sean Williamson or Barry from EastEnders is better known, singing "Something Inside So Strong." Which, I think if you ever watch the audience reaction to that video, there was just a general feel where I'm not sure they're that bothered about him being there, but nonetheless he was there and sung his heart out. But anyway, Barry from EastEnders is yet to be inaugurated as the President of America, so instead I'm going to talk about people who have been inaugurated. And Andrew Jackson was inaugurated in 1829, funnily enough, on the same day as Joe Biden's 50th birthday. And what happened after his inauguration he was smoking a cigar in the White House, which was then discarded. It ignited the newspaper, which then combined to cause fire damage in the White House on his first day there. Or he invited loads of people back to the White House, and a crowd of around 20,000 people caused a lot of damage. Okay,
so did he either start a fire on his first day as president, or did he invite people back to the, like you do when you've, when you're at an event, like, come back to my after party at mine, and then that happened at the White House with 20,000 people.
Yeah, his mum and dad had gone on holiday for the weekend, so he got everyone back for a house party.
All right, I reckon maybe. I mean, it was back in the 50s, you say, isn't it? Is that right? 59, was it?
Not quite. It was the 1820s. It's, 1829.
Right, okay. Yeah, sorry, 1820. So, yeah. I suppose security could have been a lot less strict. Well, it would have been not as great back then. But let's go with the first one. He started a fire. I think he started a fire.
Yeah, he didn't have CCTV up at that point, by the sounds of it. Just odd it had not been invented for about another 100 years. So start the fight. No, you'd be wrong. He invited 20,000 people. Well, he didn't invite 20,000 people back, but he invited people back for an open house at the White House, and about 20,000 people turned up. There was a fair amount of damage caused, obviously, because I think most houses would be damaged if you had 20,000 people in them. Yeah. It took about a week or so to kind of clean it down.
Imagine how much that would cost you in a fine at the minute.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you can get. Oh, there's maybe a bit we can talk about in the news about.
About the
Testing and
number of
finding all that sort
people.
of stuff.
Yeah. Go on then.
Um,
What's question number 2?
So next up, what is well known about William Henry Harrison's inauguration speech? Was it the shortest or the longest?
What's his name again?
William Henry Harrison.
Right. Well, just because he's got a long name, he sounds greedy. Let's go with longest.
Yeah, he said, "I, William Henry Harrison." He said, "Sorry, that's the longest speech we've ever had here." Yes, it was. It was the longest ever speech. Which I think lasted about 8,000 words. It said he became president in. I've not noted the year down actually, which is a bit strange because I normally do. Let's see if I can find it just now because I'm on his Wikipedia page. He's done a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in his life, I'll tell you this fella.
I wouldn't see. I'm currently on Paul Burrell's wiki page. Obviously, if I'm earlier, yeah. I wonder how long it'd take us to meet. So if we, how can we get from Paul Burrell to William Henry Harrison in so many clicks? I mean that might be something for another day.
Yeah, I think we can try that. I think you'd probably click on American presidents, and then maybe click on Bill Clinton, and then something to do with the royal family. Maybe Bill Clinton went to Princess Diana's funeral.
Yeah,
I don't know. It'd just be under all the various scandals.
But it's amazing, isn't it, how quickly you can do things like that with Wikipedia. I used to like playing that. How many clicks? I mean, it just shows how much time I used to have in my hands and how sad I was.
Yeah.
But how many clicks it takes to get from one random person to another, and it's surprising that you can do it in very little. Really amazing. Yeah.
So, what's the film? Is it 60? It's either 6 degrees or 7 degrees of separation. I can't remember which. I watched it after. I watched it after I watched The Six Dwarfs. So anyway, it was the 9th president of America in 1841. Wasn't president for very long. He died shortly afterwards. So he got the longest ever speech, but was only president for literally 1 month. So I think 8,000 words in that 30 days. I mean, I'm not quite sure what that equates to as words per day of being president, but there we go. President Eisenhower, he was inaugurated in 1953. What happened during his inauguration?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a cowboy turned up with the permission of the Secret Service and lassoed him? Or cowboy turned up and, with the permission of the Secret Service, pretended to shoot him?
I'm going to go with I hope it's the lassoed him one. I think that's funniest. So let's go with the lassoed him one.
You think he lassoed him? Yes, you're right. A cowboy turned up and lassoed him.
Brilliant.
That was in front of the sort of the Secret Service were aware of it and they were okay that it was happening. Next up, the extreme weather led to what happening at Ulysses S. Grant's inauguration in 1873, where a marquee was erected for the presidential ball to be held. So I think it's quite commonplace now.
Can I just stop you a second? Just while you were talking, I was trying to see how quickly I could get from Paul Burrell to William Henry Harrison. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started off, like I said, he played Richard Gere, didn't he? He took off Richard Gere in Celebrity Stars in Their Eyes. So I went from Paul Burrell. So my first click was Richard Gere, and then I clicked on Gere support. Gere stated that the war in Iraq was not supported by the American people, and that the George W. Bush administration. So I clicked on George W. Bush, and then I clicked on where was it?
Presidents of the United States.
Presidents of the United States, which is where is it? Presidential United States. That's it. And then I then found him straight away. So I got there within 3 clicks from Paul Burrell to William Henry Harrison. I got there because obviously the 4th click would have been on the list of American presidents, so that would have been the 4th click. There you go.
Well done. So we could maybe do this.
There's definitely a feature in that, isn't there?
Yeah. So next up, Ulysses S. Grant is an inauguration ball, which I think is commonplace now for presidential inaugurations in 1873. What extreme weather? There was extreme weather at the time, but what happened? It was so cold, and this was held outdoors in a marquee. So it was so cold that a number of canaries who were booked died in their cages, or it was so hot that a number of guests collapsed due to heat exhaustion.
That's unusual because, the first one, because canaries normally die, they normally take them down a cave or something, don't they, like a mine? And
it's been down a gold mine, yeah. Not a gold mine, a coal mine, and if it was running out of oxygen, I think they'd die, and that was it.
But canaries kind of can live, I'm sure they can live, like, I've had canaries before, and things like budgies outside or cockatiels and stuff, and I think they've sort of survived the winter. But I suppose the winters get a lot colder in America than what they probably do here, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was an extreme of weather, so either extremely hot or extremely cold.
Okay, and then the second one?
It was so hot that a number of guests collapsed due to heat exhaustion. And
this was what? It would have been January, wouldn't it?
No, this is in the days before it was January.
Oh, okay.
I think January's only been in for about 50 years or so, something like that.
What would happen then if an American president was, like, ousted, like, removed, say if it was Trump, got removed in the summer? Would they have to have a different inauguration sort of time? Would they have to have it earlier?
Well, we'll get onto that in a bit.
Okay. Go on then. Let's go with the extreme heat one, I think.
And that number of guests collapsed.
Yeah.
You'd be wrong. It was so cold that some canaries died.
It's very sad for all those Norwich fans.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. You said some canaries who were booked as entertainment. I mean, it sounds that entertaining to me. Just a canary just making a loud noise. I mean,
one of them could have been taking off Richard Gere from a Chicago musical.
Who knows? Next up, what did Woodrow Wilson dispense with in 1913? Is it that he didn't hold a presidential ball given the sober mood throughout the world at the time? Or he was a noted atheist and therefore became the first president not to swear an oath on the Bible. Instead, he chose to use a biography of George Washington.
Okay, what was the first one? What year was the first one?
1913. Just pre-world. It's after the Titanic sank, but before the First World War started.
Okay, so there could have been certainly a mood across the world at that point with maybe what was going off at the time.
Possibly. I think there was a bit of tension in the world before the World War. Yeah, world wars don't just start like that, but I think there has to be a bit of a build-up to it. So,
would that have been around the time of the Holocaust and things like that?
No, that was that was during the Second World War, Jimbo.
Right. Okay.
As well as first, that was Hitler. He did.
Yes. Yes.
If it happened, which it definitely did.
Right.
So anyone who tries to deny it, I mean, just look at the scientific facts on the matter, really.
Yeah. Let's say then, I think it was the second one, and he was an atheist, and he went on a book from George W. Washington. Is it George Washington?
George Washington, yeah. No, I think you're getting confused between George W. Bush and George Washington.
Yeah.
George Washington. No, you'd be wrong. He cancelled the ball because of the.
Did he wash his ball in? No, I'm joking.
And there was never a Woodrow Wilson Jr. as a result of it. So next up, Franklin D. Roosevelt's first inauguration in 1933. What happened? Is it he used the oldest ever Bible that was used? It was a family Bible from the 1680s, which was written in Dutch. Or he became the first president to have a celebrity sing the national anthem. Franklin D. Roosevelt dispensed with the tradition of the anthem being sang by local school children, and instead Bing Crosby sang it.
Okay, interesting. Just something on Bibles that's quite interesting from my family background. I suppose I could have used this in a show and tell, but I'll just say it now. My gran, one of them who's been vaccinated, my gran, the one who normally rings up when I'm in the middle of a podcast, and she's featured on this before as well, hasn't she? Back in the days. Anyway, she believes through her research and her kind of like tracking back family records and family trees and stuff, that my family is related to William Tyndale. Do you know who William Tyndale is?
Oh, I don't, no.
He was the first person to convert the Bible from Latin to, whether it was Latin or whatever, to English, and was burnt at the stake for it.
Really?
So she thinks she thinks that we are related to him in some way. There you go. Okay. So
well done.
Just because you mentioned old Bibles, so was it in a really old Bible, a really old Bible that was in Dutch, or what was the second one?
It was the first president to have changed or have a celebrity sing the national anthem. Previously, local school children used to sing it, but he arranged for Bing Crosby to sing it instead.
Yeah, I can see there must have been at some point when that happened. So, yeah, let's go. Let's go for that. Probably the point of celebrities starting to be a thing as well, possibly like a bigger thing, I suppose. So let's go with that.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Oh. I'm not doing very well today.
Oh, never mind. Yes, but I'm asking you a question from a great swath of history, so I don't worry about it too much.
The bed and breakfast that my gran ran for a number of years, maybe 40 years or so, in Millhouses in Sheffield, of course. It was called Tyndale as well because of her belief that might have been the case. So it's closed now. With the COVID and everything, they decided it was the right time to retire. So there you go.
Really? Oh, there we go. Did you tell basically everyone who came to the bed and breakfast who asked the question, just tell them about being a very distant relation of William Tyndale? There must be so many people who are related to him that sort of there could be thousands and thousands of bed and breakfasts throughout the country named the same thing just for the same reason. But there we go. But anyway, next up, George W. Bush. At his first inauguration in 2001, what Bible did he use? Is it the same Bible as the other two Georges? His dad, George Bush Sr., and George Washington, sometimes known as George W. Washington. Did he use that Bible? Or had he hoped to use the same Bible as the other two Georges, his dad, George Bush Sr., and George Washington, but it rained, so they didn't?
Ah. Good point. So he definitely either wanted to or did, basically.
There's definitely. I mean, I'm not going to ask the next question, which is, which Bible did George Bush Sr. use? Is it the same one as George Washington?
Let's go with he wanted to, but it rained.
He wanted to, but it rained? Yes, you'd be correct. Well done. I've only got two more questions left, by the way. So, at the inauguration of President John F. Kennedy, what was unusual about it? Is he the first person to have a poet perform, with Robert Frost speaking before the crowd? Or it was the first person whose parents took part in the ceremony. His dad, Joseph Kennedy, was a senator, and he was chosen to administer the oath to Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson.
So the first one. So did he have a poet do come and do something for the first time?
Yeah, a poet came and read something out. Robert Frost spoke before the crowd, presumably delivered a poem. Or the second option, he was the first person whose parent took part in the ceremony. His dad, Joseph Kennedy, was a senator and chosen to administer the oath to his Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson.
I reckon.
I think there's a lot of Kennedys around there, by the way.
So I'm really trying to get one right here because I know I've not been doing very well, and I really think it's the first one, the poet one. But because I've been getting them wrong, I'm going to go with what I think the answer actually is, and I'm going to go to the opposite one. And I think it's, and I'm going to go with that his dad or his parent was in first time to have a parent involved.
Okay, yeah, you should have stuck with what you thought initially because you're wrong. So the final question, and obviously what you mentioned is about inaugurations and when people become presidents. So obviously, if the president dies in office, what normally happens is straight away the vice president becomes president, and what you tend to have is sort of you have to take an oath of office because a bit like the oath that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took last week. You still have to take the same oath, but obviously you can't say, well, President Kennedy's died, let's have a massive inauguration of a new fella and have loads of dancing and singing and all that sort of celebration stuff. So straight away, as soon as Lyndon B. Johnson became president, he straight away had to take his oath.
So is it basically like the inauguration then is for both of so that it's for both the president and the vice president, so that if the vice president has to take over, then she's technically had the inauguration already. Is that?
I suppose that's one way of thinking about it to some degree. I think the inauguration really is just a bit of a celebration. You've got a new president coming in, and it's kind of, we've got flags out there, we've got people celebrating the new leader. They have to take an oath saying, "I'm the president of the United States, and I will do this." The vice president obviously said, "Well, I'm saying I'm the vice president of the United States, and I'll do X, Y, and Z, and I'll honour my country and all this sort of stuff." But as soon as you become president, you're meant to put your hand on the Bible. Not sure if you saw it when Trump did it. It's like the Bible burnt when he put his hand against it. And he, so Lyndon B. Johnson had already taken an oath as vice president.
These will make good bricks to build said wall. That's probably what he was thinking.
I became the first person to translate the Bible from Latin into bullshit, or what have you. So Lyndon B. Johnson then had already taken his oath to be vice president, but becoming president, he had to take an oath to be president. Where did he take his oath? Was he on an aeroplane or was he on a beach?
Ooh, well, so it's like the moment that happens, basically, you have to do it.
Pretty much. The moment it happens and you're in the vicinity of a Bible, I think.
Strange, because like I don't know if in those days how good it. Well, I suppose you could, because you can communicate with pilots and stuff like that to let them know that they need to do it there on the plane or whatever. Let's go beach, shall we?
You'd be wrong, unfortunately. It was on an aeroplane.
Terrible. I've done really badly today.
I believe he's the only president to have been inaugurated. To have taken an office of oath on an aeroplane. Fairly obvious reasons. But there we go. So I was going to say well done, Jimbo, but let's be truthful about the matter. I mean, you've tried your best.
That was awful. I think I only got. Right. Did I even get 1 or 2 right?
I think probably 2 right, maybe. But yeah.
I mean, I started that then, but we have got an advert to play because Daryl's back. Are you ready to hear from Daryl?
Yeah, see what he's got to say.
Hello, it's Daryl, and I'm opening up as a psychologist offering appointments in my new studio. I have a great interest in psychology after seeing one myself who was so good that he could tell absolutely everything that was going through my mind, and it only took him about 45 seconds, and most of that was me thinking about donuts. I'm greatly interested in the work of Pavlov, if that name rings a bell for you. If you don't know who he is a psychologist who has really soft hair. I think that's down to his classic conditioning. I'm helping plenty of people at the moment, including someone who couldn't drive backwards in his car, but I sorted this thanks to my reverse psychology. He came to see me after I told him not to. Do you keep thinking you're a potato? Why not get on my couch? Do you keep thinking you're a dog? Why not get on my couch? If you're allowed on the furniture. One of my recent successes includes helping a man who we thought was a moth. I was really pleased that he came for psychological help, but it turns out he only came to see me because I'd left my light on. I also had an appointment with 3 ladies, and after speaking to them, I worked out that they were so subconsciously addicted to certain things that they named their children after them. The first lady was obsessed with cars, so she named her child Ferrari. The second lady was so obsessed with money that she called her child Penny, and I didn't get much chance to speak to the third lady as she and her son Roger made a swift exit.
So on to the news then. We'll not spend too much time on this because we haven't really got that much news, have we really? Just as always, as tends to be, there's only ever really one thing going off, isn't there? So, but anyway, I did want to mention a couple of things. So a few weeks back, it might have been last week, might have been the week before, I mentioned that there was a pigeon in Australia who had been basically suspected of getting all the way from Oregon in the US to someone's back garden. A man called Kevin Kellybird. It landed in his back garden, which was quite, the fact his name's Kellybird. But anyway, they were going to put this bird to death because they thought it was obviously going to be carrying diseases and so on. But it turns out they actually think now that it hasn't come from the US and it's just a fake racing pigeon that somebody stuck a tag on to try and make money from. Because obviously they can fetch quite a lot of money, racing pigeons. So they think it's actually an Australian bird after all. So I think, fortunately the pigeon managed to escape anyway before any death sentence was carried out, because the pigeon, along with another couple of birds who were also in quarantine, managed to escape when they started a coup, and but anyway they've now cancelled Dick Dastardly and Muttley because they don't need they're going to let it off, I think.
Yeah, they enlisted the help of people in the RAF to try and track down the bird. He got the position of wing commander. Now, Imagine if that pigeon was carrying the COVID vaccine as well, and the first thing they did is just shot him and got rid of it. That's good news for the pigeon, though, isn't it?
But I think from that story about Joe the pigeon, because he was called Joe after Joe Biden, by the way, onto another story about borders and so on, and people crossing borders and that kind of thing. Priti Patel?
Yeah, Priti Patel. It came out this week that she advocated that she would like to have closed the UK's borders in March last year.
Oh, yeah, of course, because of like COVID and everything.
No, I think she just wants to do it anyway.
Oh, right, okay.
Just to stop anyone else coming in who might not be from this country.
Yeah.
This is the person who said that she would possibly deport her own parents if needs be. So yes, she said that she would have recommended she would recommend deporting her parents. Is what I'm about to say. I'm sure she wouldn't actually recommend that and be too keen on it. But she did advocate apparently last year that we should have closed our borders in March last year, which hasn't been done. We've closed all travel corridors now, and we've also prevented people coming in from Brazil and also Portugal. Obviously, Brazil is where there is a new strain of the virus that's been discovered, and people are quite concerned about that. And in Brazil, they speak Portuguese, so therefore it makes perfect sense to stop people coming from Portugal as well. Because I think it can be transmissible just by speaking different languages, as far as I'm aware. But apparently, what they actually said was there are historic links between Portugal and Brazil. Therefore, we stop people coming from Portugal as well. But must make sense to someone.
Well, ministers have got different ways of doing things all around the world. I mean, have you heard of the Sri Lanka health minister who has had a bit of a personal different approach to fighting COVID? She drank a sorcerer's potion to protect her from catching COVID-19.
Okay, I'm guessing she's dead now, then, is she?
Yeah, she caught COVID. She's fighting it off. No, she's not dead. She's okay. But she has got COVID, so that clearly didn't work. I mean, I've got I don't know if you wanted to, I've got some potion. Let me just, here it is. Okay, it's a special potion that makes you disappear. So I don't know if you is that okay? Do you want me to try it?
Yeah, go and have a go at it, Jimbo.
Are you sure? 1 second then.
This might not work very well for our audio listeners, by the way, but
so here it is. This is a potion that makes me disappear. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So the idea is that the potion goes into your blood veins, down through your all through your organs, and it starts to internally make you. Am I being clear?
No, I can still see you. You're not being clear at all. Yet.
Sure. I'll keep trying anyway. So.
Oh dear.
That was probably rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't work at all. We could see you leaving the shop. I mean, it's a bit like saying, I've got this potion here that I drink. I drink it.
I just saw the preview and it just didn't work at all, did it?
No, not at all, in all honesty. If you were an audio viewer, if you were an audio listener and didn't get a chance to see that, I think you'd probably end up on the better end of the deal. It's a bit like saying, no, Jimbo, if I've got this potion that as soon as I drink it, it sends all my background blurry.
Oh, it's worked. It's actually worked.
How have I done that? Things you can do, eh? I'm just going to have to spit some of it back into the can to make it take it all out of me. Let me just try this again. There we go. It's back again. It worked again.
Well, I think what it is I've got the wrong potion, Fisher, because I've drank this and I've realised I've done something very foolish, and actually it doesn't. It's not the right one. It doesn't make me disappear. This one. This is actually the potion that makes me bark like a. So anyway,
that would have been slightly better to have used, by the way. Never mind.
Anyway, yeah, okay. Yeah. So moving on.
Yeah. Have we got any more news items to talk about, or can we jump straight onto your quiz?
Yeah, I reckon we can probably just jump straight on. Should we get on with it?
Yeah, come on.
Right, here we go then. So this potion also makes me really need a wee, so hopefully this section's not going to go on too long. And actually, we might even finish on time today as well. And there's something we didn't talk about, but we could talk about it at the end of the episode because we sort of forgot something. But we'll come back to that later. So here we go. So this is, but last week you might remember I did a quiz about mass vaccination centres because there'd been an original 7 announced for the UK originally.
Yeah.
And I did a few American ones in there, and then on the day that I did the quiz for you last Sunday, they'd announced some more. So I've done more. Now it's very difficult to do these quizzes. I was trying to find interesting things about some of these places, and to be honest, there's not that many stuff. So sometimes I've had to kind of focus on the location rather than the actual building itself, and some I've just left out because they were pointless. So anyway, are you ready?
Yep.
So number 1 is the Bournemouth International Centre. Part of the centre, the Solent Hall, which is a huge exhibition space, was completed in 2004, and it was a refurbishment costing £22 million. This hall caused some controversy. Why? A, it replaced the popular swimming pool and wave machine in 2004 after an unsuccessful campaign to save the facility. Or B, the refurbishment meant the height and square footing of the building increased, which blocked the sea view for a nearby nursing home. There was a campaign and protest to stop it happening.
I don't know. I've sometimes watched local TV down there a little bit. Have
you been to Bournemouth before?
I've not been to Bournemouth, no, but I've been to the Isle of Wight on a vast number of occasions.
I've been to Bournemouth. I went to watch Sheffield Wednesday play. A very long coach journey.
Yeah. It would be. It's quite a long way away. Yeah. And coaches generally go a bit slow, and you have to stop off and do a load of boozing, I think, on these away days, don't you? So yeah, with the local news there is not. Isle of Wight's not a big enough place to have its own local news. Like we've got Look North up here. I think they've got South Today, which covers sort of Southampton, Portsmouth, Hampshire, part of Bournemouth, all that sort of stuff, as well as the Isle of Wight and sort of Dorset and that kind of area. Don't think it quite goes as far as Cornwall and Devon, but yeah, it covers sort of that bit on the south coast. Possibly Sussex as well, and those areas. And I can't ever remember either of these things coming up. And I would have been around on the Isle of Wight, sort of 2004, I think, went on holiday there that year. So I think that did it. So the two options were, that it
replaced the popular swimming pool and wave machine, or it blocked the view of a nursing home, their view of the sea because it was extended and I think it's maybe a bit too early to be closing swimming pools. I think maybe that did a lot of that a few years later. So I'm going to say they blocked the view for a nursing home. And I wonder if you're going to do as bad as me. No, it was the first one. Yeah, it's closed the popular wave machine swimming pool sort of thing. Classic thing, the wave machines.
Yeah. Instead, all they have to make do with was just that sea that they've got there in Bournemouth instead. That's got for waves and swimming. Yeah.
The most dramatic and crazy wave machine I've ever witnessed is in Cos, where I've been a couple of times. Cardamina, they've got a water park there, and the wave machine is absolutely incredible. But it's only they can send the waves either way, and they only put the one that's. I think it was the side to side waves that seemed to cause the most disasters and stuff like that. So only a couple of times a day does the sideways one come on, and I remember it being really like a crazy wave machine. So if anyone's ever been there before and tried that, well, never seen wave machine like it. Anyway, next then, number 2, Blackburn Cathedral. Former acting dean of Blackburn Cathedral, Philip North, turned down a nomination to be Bishop of Sheffield. There you go, linking into to us and our locality. Why was this? A, because he does not support female priests or bishops, or B, because he completely condones homosexuality?
I mean, both of them are fairly feasible, aren't they? Let's be fair. So I think the sort of female bishops is a bit more of a big thing, or it was a few years ago. I can't remember who the first female bishop was. I want to say it was Libby Lane who was first female bishop of Stockport, I think. It took a while for that to happen. Did you say what? Sorry, you broke up a little bit when you were. Well, the connection dropped for me a little bit, so I'm not quite sure what you said.
So,
did you say it was? Did he give a year at all?
No, I've not got
No?
it.
Okay.
I can
No,
find
so-
out the year for you though, if you want me to.
No, that's all right because I'll still probably get it wrong anyway. So I'm gonna say it's female bishops.
Female bishops, you would be correct. Well done. Oh, wrong one. There you go. Correct, yeah. So, because there was a lot of female bishops in the, do they call it the diocese or something? The area
Diocese,
churches and
yeah.
stuff. So there was a bit of a, so he basically, and he turned down another location for the same reason as well. Because he's a bit of a sort of traditionalist and he just didn't, I think he believed in sort of women's role in the church in certain things, but he wouldn't stretch as far as saying that he thought that they should be bishops and priests. Bit old-fashioned.
I mean, what a complete and utter load
Has
of
he never seen
nonsense.
Vicar of Dibley?
Yeah, I mean,
And how amazing it can be watching somebody jump in a puddle that thinks only that deep.
Yeah. I mean, how on earth can you even have the attitude or thought process where you think that a woman shouldn't do a job that she'll be perfectly capable of doing? I don't quite get it. I mean, it's the role of the bishop. It's not as though it's anything that. Why could a woman not do that?
Exactly.
I do not understand that at all.
Number 3 then, Salt Hill Activity Centre in Slough. It's worth pointing out, by the way, going back when I was reading about the Philip North thing, a lot of female bishops were actually sort of standing up for him a little bit because they were saying, look, we've got to all respect that we've all got different opinions about things like this. And they were quite sort of supportive. Not every, there was different views, but there were some that were quite supportive that thought that people should, certainly people in religion and working in that sort of area, they should be allowed to have their views without it affecting them, that kind of thing. But anyway, number 3, Salt Hill Activity Centre in Slough. Which of these things has not come from Slough? You ready? First of all, a Mars bar, Thunderbirds, wheelie bins, snooker, Formula 1 or zebra crossing. Which has not come from Slough. So originated from Slough. Yeah, but if you want, you can quiz me more on each one, and I can give you a little bit more information.
I think. Well, all right. Well, the Mars bar. I think that is from Slough because it's. I think Mars is based in Slough. I seem to remember.
Yeah, well, an American company. It is an American company, obviously, but development of the chocolate bar was done in Slough. Is my little extra for you there.
Other options, sorry, the wheelie bin.
The
I'm
wheelie
assuming
bin.
that's was it first used in Slough or?
Wheelie bins were invented by a company in Slough, moving waste from one part of the factory to the other.
Okay. So what? Can you read through all the options?
There was the Thunderbirds. The studios were where the studios were there where the Thunderbirds was first developed and filmed, and that was in obviously Slough. You've got snooker, which was invented by Neville Chamberlain from Slough, not the former Prime Minister.
What?
Not the same bloke.
No wonder people said he wasn't taking the appropriate action against Hitler because he was too busy inventing snooker. Oh, Bennett.
Formula 1. What was the first ever Formula 1 racetrack, practice racetrack there. Zebra crossing. The government's road research laboratory was based in Slough, and the first zebra crossing appeared in 1951, but is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
Which of those is a lie, basically?
A lie. I think Formula 1 wasn't invented in Slough, I would say. I'll guess at that.
So you don't think the first ever practice Formula 1 track, before they'd actually released, they sort of started doing the races?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I mean, I probably made a bit of a pig's ear giving you the description of that compared to the others, but yeah, you're right.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It was perfectly plausible, Jimbo. I'm not saying that. I just happen to be an exceptionally intelligent and gifted individual who can see through your bullshit.
But Sterling Moss, who was obviously a famous Formula 1 racer, an early Formula 1 racer, I said before that he became an F1 driver. Before he became an F1 driver, he illegally raced a BMW around a partially built housing estate in Slough. So maybe that's one of the reasons he went to do what he did. So they did have a Formula 1 racer sort of have some background in Slough. But there you go. I thought that was quite an interesting question. Number 4, Wickford Lodge in Wickford in Essex. What was found by the side of a children's playground in Wickford in 2019? A. Only Ways Essex star Arge, who caused a stir on social media when he went missing for 2 days. Or B. A dead cat left in a cat carrier.
So, I mean, obviously, there's Arge and a dead cat. Obviously, one of them is just sort of a total layabout waste of space that's completely wasting away, not doing anything, and the other one's a dead cat in a carrier, isn't it? So I remember Arge going missing, so I think it could have been him that was found there.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right that there was a thing where Arge went missing, weren't there? And he was found okay, but I threw that in to sort of make it trickier. But it was a dead cat left in a cat carrier by the side of a playground. Yeah. Number 5, in the stalls at St. Botolph's Church in Boston. So this next place, by the way, there's a place in Boston that are having I think it's like some sort of event centre. Place in Boston that are having a vaccine thing as well. I keep forgetting to mention that. They're having a vaccine centre. But there's it's a church in Boston, St. Botolph's in Boston. There's a carving of what? A, an apple with a snake as the stalk, thought to be the work of Thomas Chippendale, a famous furniture maker. Or B, a bear playing the organ, which is thought to be the earliest English carving of anyone or anything playing an organ.
I mean, Thomas Chippendale obviously was a well-known furniture maker, and then occasionally used to take his clothes off and just have a bow tie on, and sometimes you could see his wood.
He did wash it though with the ball washer.
So it's either that or it's a bear playing the organ, as you do. Why would it be a bear playing the organ and not something else? And not
it's in the stalls,
human.
by the way. So stalls, the seats, obviously in a church. If just to clarify for you,
I'm going to say it's a bear playing the organ.
Well done. I had to Google famous wood carvers and stuff like that to try and make something up for that one. Number 6, St Helens Rugby Club in Liverpool, Rugby Stadium in Liverpool is going to be a vaccine centre, and it's named the Totally Wicked Stadium. But what is Totally Wicked? Is it A, a vaping retailer, or B, a telemarketing company whose main client are sex toy manufacturers?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, good question. I think surely a vaping retailer would be I can't imagine a vaping retailer would be big enough to be able to sponsor a stadium like that. I'm assuming it costs quite a bit of money to sponsor the stadium. Quite a reasonable size. Team St Helens Rugby League team, one of the probably best known in the country. Or a sex toy retailer. I don't know. I don't know whether St Helens hookers use that sort of stuff. I think there would be a lot of. I think there would probably be a lot of pushback though if they used a company that mainly manufactured sex toys.
I mean, before COVID, you should have the atmosphere in the stadium. If you'd ever been, the vibrations you could feel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Was it electric? I think I'm going to say that it was the vape. I think it's a vaping company.
Well done, yeah. Number 7, the Olympic Office Centre, Wembley. So this is like the whole Wembley complex, basically, not necessarily just the stadium, but there's various parts to Wembley, which is where my gran, who owns the Tyndale Bed and Breakfast, is from, Wembley, and my dad and so on. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because that was the story about selling the house to Dave Besant, wasn't there?
That's right, yeah.
A number of episodes ago.
Yeah. I also work with somebody with the same name.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, Dave Besant, yeah. He's a lot younger, didn't buy my grand's house. Anyway, so how many individual toilets are there in Wembley Stadium? Now, unfortunately, I can't clarify if this means urinal points or whatever, but it just says how many toilets are there. So it's up to you. I don't know if you want to see if you can come. I'm trying to think how many. I
think it's quite a lot.
If you can get within the nearest 1,000 or 2,000, get within the nearest 2,000.
Are we talking about just Wembley Stadium itself?
Yes, Wembley Stadium,
the football ground,
the football ground,
or football concert venue, whatever. I think there's about 80,000 seats in there, and that's not including toilet seats. That's just including spectators' seats looking at the pitch. Now, I remember it being quite a lot, and me thinking, "Say, well, that's a lot of toilets." But obviously, at the same, bear in mind, at half time, you need to be able to cater for a lot of people going to the toilet.
I should have been aware that by this point in the episode, I normally need a wee, so putting this question in there is not helpful.
Yeah. So I seem to remember it was something about it almost caters for like almost 1 in 10 people going for the toilet at the same time. Maybe not quite that many, but I'm going to say, I'm going to say there's 8,000 toilets in Wembley.
Oh, you've gone way too high. It's 2,618.
Oh, that's still a lot. I mean, it's still one for every 40 people going to the toilet at one time. So.
Number 8, Sithens Showground in Cornwall. What world record at the time was set at the Sithens Showground in 1912? A. Drilling a 3-foot, 3.75 inches hole through granite in 15 minutes. Or B. The number of dogs to sit down on first instruction in a row.
All right, okay.
So like almost like sit without someone having to go sit.
Yeah.
Imagine your dog letting them down.
Yeah. I think it was quite bad, wasn't it? Because the chain was broken when one of them misheard and had a massive poo. Basically, I think was what happened.
Yeah, someone with a speech impediment. Sit. Shit. Oh no.
Oh, look at the mess here. Oh, we were indoors as well. Oh no. I think that the first one was drilling through some granite.
Drilling a 3-foot, 3.75 inches hole through granite in 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, some of these strange things you go to, they do that sort of stuff. So I think it could be that someone tried to drill through some granite for some unknown reason.
Yeah, and there you go. And people at the event said it was boring.
Hey,
I didn't know if you'd get that one, but there you go. I purposely changed it to drilling through a hole through rather than saying that, so I could do the joke. Anyway, number 9 then. This is your last one. Plymouth Argyle's football ground, Home Park, is to become a mass vaccination site. Which of these is true? A. Pelé played at Home Park in 1973 when he came to play with his Brazilian side Santos. Plymouth won the game 3-2 and Pelé scored a penalty. Or B. Diego Maradona played at Home Park in a friendly in the 1992 at the later stage of his career playing for Sevilla. Maradona only came on as a substitute for the last 5 minutes and the game finished 0-0.
I don't know really. It could feasibly it could be either of them. I'm not quite sure though that Maradona maybe did the same amount of exhibition games maybe that Pelé, well, I'll say, did the amount of exhibition games. I mean, he only came on for the last 5 minutes, if what you're saying is true. Was it just a general friendly, do you know? Or
both, they were just friendlies, pre-season friendlies,
I think it might be Santos. I think they might have travelled around, so I think it might have been Pelé played there and they lost 3-2.
Well done, Pelé played at Hillsborough the year before. And then played at Home Park, Plymouth, 1973, and it was a big day because Plymouth won. So it was quite a even though obviously it was only a friendly, it was quite a momentous occasion for Plymouth fans. There you go. So that was just a bit of a quiz about some of the locations that are being used as mass vaccination centres for COVID-19. Hope you enjoyed that.
Good stuff. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Jimbo.
So the only thing we didn't do today was talk about our celebrity sex tape, which is all about boosting our views, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I'm not sure if you want to finish on it or not.
I thought, why not? Because you picked out a former WWF, WWE wrestler, didn't you?
I did. China.
Let's just make it clear, she wasn't wrestling endangered pandas or anything like that. It used to be called WWF, didn't it?
And yes, and that's called WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. So China, or as Donald Trump would call her, China, is a former wrestler called Joni Laura. She made an adult film debut in 2004 in the film entitled One Night in China. Was Paris Hilton video called One Night in Paris or something like that? Is that a sort of, I don't know if there's various puns on such things. Laura and Stan and Sean Waltman approached Red Light District Video to distribute the homemade video. She then appeared in a second video. Guess what that was called?
One Night Inside China.
No, not quite. You're close, though. You are very close.
One Night in China 2.
Pretty much. It was called Another Night in China. Oh. In 2009.
On the second night, she caught COVID-19.
Yeah. Self-isolating inside China. So, and then she starred in her first professional pornographic video for Viva Video entitled... do you want to try and guess what the next one was maybe called? It's not Third Night in China.
One Night in Wuhan?
No, it's called A Back Door to China.
Oh, dear.
And she also starred as She-Hulk in their parody of The Avengers, which was released in May 2012. A spin-off featured around the She-Hulk character entitled She-Hulk XXX, and that was released in April 2013. I think she passed away a few years ago.
Yeah. Which is a bit...
Which is
a bit of a shame for you to talk about her.
But we can still talk about things she did when she was alive. So I'm sort of assuming her death was nothing connected to these these videos or events.
Okay.
So there we go. So that's WWE star China, who appeared in a number of pornographic films, including homemade ones and professionally made ones as well.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in now, this is all we ever talk about, basically.
Yeah. So that's the bit we've got to talk about on this episode in terms of celebrity sex tape. So fingers crossed we get some viewers off the back of that.
Yeah. And if you're
probably wondering what's going on,
if you want to get in touch and you want to maybe suggest a celebrity sex tape for us to talk about, or anything else, any other types of features or quizzes, and you want shout outs or anything like that, or write us a review, as some people have done. I've not checked them for a while actually, but some occasionally get a nice review, don't we? But at Waste of Web Space is our Twitter account. You can find that on Facebook too, Instagram, and our website wasteofwebspace.co.uk. There you go.
Absolutely. I mean, if you are a celebrity, for example, and you would like to sort of submit a sex tape to us, say, for example, Paul Burrell, then please do feel free to get in touch via Jimbo.
He knows my Instagram.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but thank you very much for listening.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers, Jimbo. See you next week.
Bye-bye.